circle sendiri jadi keuntungan atau justru jadi beban?
Kalau takut tekan.
Teams, yes. Do they have amazing rotations to find the final circle? Absolutely, yes. World-class squad, but just hasn't achieved the best just yet. Maybe now is the time that they have got this battle happening on their own home turf.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense to bring this up as well. RRQ, it seems at the moment one of the major factors holding this team back is pressure. This team, once you hit that certain pressure threshold, this team unfortunately seems to crack. We've seen this in a few tournaments so far where they're so close to being able to achieve something great, but then all of a sudden that pressure kicks in and all of a sudden RRQ as a team, they kind of crumble. So I think this is going to be a great testing ground for RRQ fans to see, has RRQ managed to figure out how to temper themselves and to not break? Because this is the world stage. This is going to be as much pressure as you get. You're going down into the depths of the ocean. So you need to fight against that pressure. You got to break it and instead of letting it break you. So I think there's a lot of eyes on RRQ, especially for the Indonesian fans, because they have been waving the Indonesian flag for years. This is an org, and a lot of the players on the team, everyone knows them. They are idols for a lot of our survivors out there. They look up to these players because they have been around for such a long time. So RRQ, their moment of greatness, it could possibly be this year, but they need to figure out this issue of theirs.
Absolutely. And of course, let's not forget, we also have the new loadout system that's activated in the game for you guys as well out there. And the players have to deal with the brand new loadout system. And I say deal like it's a bad thing. It is one of the best updates that we have gotten in a long, long time. Now we've got the new items, the team booster, the enhanced hammer, the tactical market, as well as the super leg pockets. The most, surprisingly interesting ones are obviously the leg pocket. We've got the capability of the players to boost their own stats out there as well. And we see a lot of the rushes kind of going for that instead of extra items in the game.
Well, I think with the inclusion of the new items, you have to sort of play with it. And considering that there hasn't been a lot of time since this has been added, I think there's going to be some teams I feel that might struggle just with the new additions. Like, yes, you're on the stage. At some point, once you add something new to the game, you have to be ready to adapt to these new changes. And I'm kind of wondering, are there any teams out there that might still be panicking, thinking like, guys, I'm not used to this yet. This I can't use efficiently enough because I just haven't had enough time to practice with the inclusion of the new system. So, I mean, based off of yesterday, do you kind of feel like there were any teams that might have sort of dragged their feet maybe in the dirt? Maybe you feel like they might have struggled with the new system?
I don't think struggling with the new system. In fact, they all have a great advantage now. It really empowered of the rushes especially. And by the way, if you guys love damage, if attack, defense, and aggression sounds like you, your loadout pick is the enhanced hammer. Now, unfortunately, we haven't seen any teams make this the priority pick for themselves yet. I would like to see maybe a couple of those rushes go out there with the enhanced hammer, but they have been focusing a little bit more on recovery, a little bit more on shielding themselves from harm out there, because you can't take your chances. I'd rather survive a little longer as opposed to put out more damage, because technically you've got other qualities in the game that can get that done.
Well, again, we don't know the full potential of the hammer. So maybe it just takes one player to figure out, okay, how is there a way for me to make the most of this? What are you? Why, AJ?
No,
Why?
I'm
Why
laughing because you say you don't know the full potential, and the OB51 patch notes, right? When you the enhanced hammer have fire. That's the only description.
That's what I mean. So like nobody knows the full potential, so you got to use it to find out what that potential is. Someone's got. You kind of can't blame them if numbers or statistics to like don't know is it worth taking the hammer over say the healing instead, because at the end of the day healing is really great. if you're alive,
Yeah.
you actually have your team. If you're dead, then I think we kind of understand what you provide to your team. Not much, maybe a little bit of vision. But AJ, game number 1.
I think
Bermuda is ready to go. Our teams are ready to go, folks. I think it's time to fly in and kick things off on Bermuda.
in here, game number 1 at Bermuda. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a slow start. We kicked things off at Alpine, and it just didn't go the way a couple of these squads were looking at. GOW obviously stole the match away at Bermuda, and honestly, it was a really surprising match for me because it was quite equal at the very top. Not a lot of eliminations overall on the leaderboard on this map.
All right, AJ. So, teams are coming in, and at the moment, it looks like we are going to have, aside from WAG and Hotshots, we are going to be having more or less a clear entry point for our teams, as we've got Coach Hill and Rastia going to be moving in together and actually launching themselves to meet up with their teammates, with R7 in the background be moving along as well. Now, Coach going to be moving along with the team. I guess the question here for some of the teams is, what is the game plan? Because we know right now, Hotshot and WG want to put some blood on the board. They want to get those elim right off the bat. Is in the better position. I have to say, WAG do like a little bit more with Please1 leading the track or just sitting on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Hotshots from Pakistan have got a great fight up against them. And WAG didn't really perform too well yesterday. Looks like Bangladesh is off to a fantastic start up against Movistar as well, having taken away Della from the equation. Down Games King. Here's Hope. Has got the Mac 10 in hand. And he him down. Bangladesh is off to a fantastic start. And Mexico cannot take the heat. Hacks with the P90 on for the save. Goes in for the pickup as Hope gets dropped. Maybe a little bit of recovery is just possible here. WAG, on the other hand, trying to dispatch the players on the side of Hotshots one after the other.
WAG, even though they won that previous engagement, now all of a sudden we have another team coming in to cause some issues here. NVL, oh my gosh, Flo, MV and Kuslo already hitting the ground, and all of a sudden I think they might be regretting this movement here, thanks to Eve, who are the sticking their nose into this business. And this is just as bad for WG, because if you know that Eve is here, the team that is going to want to eliminate you from the round. And you can see here AimGod and Ray trying to get into position. Be mindful, this is still WA. Please1 being shot from the side, thanks to Coach Hill. Rastic to finish off, and Cyrus and Evos already with 4 eliminations to their name.
Million anticipation here. Of course, they heard the gunshots and they thought, you know what, let's drop by and say hello. Let's get our game to a fantastic start. 4 eliminations early on before we reach the 4-minute mark. It's fantastic for E1. E1 spot now finds a little bit of a potential victim out there on the back for them from EA. Not only Vision eSport, but not a full-on engage just yet. E1 was just kind of buying their, making sure they don't run into this battle without making sure they are the best of RRQ round. They find a stray play from the side of Redcliffe to E, and it looks like the Rebels will continue the Bangladesh squad.
I mean, the Rebels are continuing for all of our participating teams, because we still have an elimination yet. We're still running 12 teams in this match. So you can see teams really trying to play around, collecting vision, and if possible, trying to grab those eliminations. Speaking of, we have Lafasta on the side, just doing a bit of a scouting duty for the team, and they managed to find someone playing along the outskirts. And at the moment, it does look like it's a 3 versus 3, and the full team is able to regroup. And the situation is looking a little awkward. So Heavy will be leaving, but A Global, it might be the runs to into Kuzco here. He's going to be taking those shots that should be the end to finish them off so easily.
Unfortunate that they lose Cluso as AG Global spots them, and the hunt is on. Vending machine just in front of Nova Legion, so revival is going to be fairly quick and easy. As I say, the boss brings Cluso right back in. AG in hand, looking to fish the boss out, misses the connection. Shot could have really goes in for the vending machine. That he was out into the players of Movistar R7. Elimination after elimination, but Cold Steel at vending machine just brings his brothers right back into the play.
Those eliminations from Movistar actually pushed them up into first place already for our game, sitting on 6 eliminations. So currently our leader, Jay, and it looks team, they don't want things to end yet. They're even looking for shield. Even though EVOS are able to get those revives back in, this is going to set them so far back in this matchup because their players are going to have to go back and find new items and basically regroup and figure out, okay, how to play item deficit. Because we've seen in the past EVOS thrive if they're allowed to just go absolutely crazy from the start. But with a start like this, you know, I struggle to see EVOS being able to achieve much in this round.
Yeah, just at the very start, of eliminations all before Movistar R7. AG Global now rotates around. The potential to bump into this of Nova Legion, and AIM got a sliver of health, but thankfully nobody around this comp. There is a vending machine here, so he'll be able to bring his buddy back. In any case, things do go south for the guy. Thankfully, the rest of the players are safe for the time being.
Now, hopefully they stay safe for a little bit longer, because if they have teams chasing them and cutting them down, this is not going to be an easy job at all. Unfortunately for AIM God, I think he's cut down again. Movie 7 R7. They really want to get rid of this team. They have no idea who they're trying into, but it's EVO. It's a major team. Looks like God able to get a knockback onto Games King, so buying time for the rest of EVO to come through. Is this maybe going to be a moment of regret? AIM God does get cut, but it's still 3 versus 4. Very, very doable team if they have the item.
Yeah, let's see if they can pull this off, as AIM got taken out of the equation is a big problem for them. Russia sorted out by Games King Della from far. The tag is there, but no fault just yet. Movistar not looking to waste time at all. Moving together as a squad. They have to be full though. They're not really as far as those walls are concerned. Getting caught out in the open here could be absolutely deadly, especially if there is a party around them. We'll catch up with that in a little bit as Heavy comes out. AG Global from the roof, just awaiting, biding his time. The sharp shot past the M9 could just be deadly.
Oh, make sure they have to land it. They have to land that shot because it's AG Global, and Kai is going to be the one speaking down instead to Chino. Beautiful shots coming through from AG Global. And now it's one player. Oh, boy! Gets denied by Alan. Down a player, and all of a sudden Mufasa charge in, almost eliminating himself, but Cypher rushes into the build. Kinoy going to be still on the ground there, and all of a sudden now for Heavy, this is the best time to hunt AG Global players, and they're going to try and do so. Alan, he's back up, he's going to try and his teammates finish off that elimination first. Cypher goes down thanks to Mufasa, and Heavy keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, it's a great play coming through from Heavy here, and it's very impressive because yesterday when Heavy played this Bermuda map, it didn't manage to get as much as they wanted. Placement points were decent, but elimination twice, it was just 3, and your number 1 sport squad just got annihilated, removed from the lobby on 11th. Unfortunate for AG Global.
Terrible start, unfortunately. So bit of an uphill battle for this team from game 2 onwards, hoping to stay at the top of the leaderboard. And as you can see right now, teams are starting to rotate. We have now figured out our definitive path for our team, as has been decided. And it's pretty dead center for this particular match. Quite hiding in a corner, so teams have a lot of room to play with at the moment. But it seems like we are having a quiet here for the team. At least I know the certain team, EVOS Divine, is very grateful to have this quiet time because we did have pretty chaotic AJ, right? Teams you can really see showing a lot of respect to opponents, really aiming for eliminations, and we have seen in the past how eliminations can really determine a team's position in a game if correctly executed.
Yeah, no doubt at all. I think that is something they definitely have to look out for. But what's a little more impressive as well is Movistar R7, they did very well on Bermuda yesterday, a total of 21 points. And it looks like they're on their way to do that again. If anything, they might just break their record from yesterday. Shot from afar, VSK trade out units before he gets dropped. The pickup is instantaneous inside the time turner. And E1 Sports just clean, clear vision. Esports spotted them. That clear vision could do nothing with information.
Yeah, great recovery there for E1 because they did have a on the ground when that fight broke out. But they do also steal their position to the rest of the teams because right now we're going to run out of real estate and teams are next door neighbors at this point of stage. But I love the positioning here for RRQ. So coming into this circle, we do have Duets playing pretty far forward for the team, playing as the scout, trying to provide vision and help RRQ figure out where they're going to have to decide for the next path to be, because it is, aside from that, open. There's not a lot to work with here for our teams. You're going to have to try and rely a lot on natural cover, including boulders and trees, and there's only so few of those going around, especially if you're trying to tree hop and provide yourself that safety going into that circle. Speaking of safety, Hotshot's not going to be looking too safe themselves because they are running into Flux territory, and Hotshots have been shot out of the lobby.
Goodness me, that was just they didn't chance. Fluxo, reigning defending champions, just not messing around. They missed out on #1 spot. They are not looking to do so today. Movistar are back in action. This time they won EVOS Coach Shield. They've thrown out, and the response of those glue ball melted, meeting the EVOS players at RR2. Bam! Indonesia just messed up play for one of their own. They don't even know it. Team got down on the ground. Riptide Rhythm well from Mahal. More chaos into this battle between Movistar as well as EVOS. The pickup instantaneous. Thought needs to back away for a little bit here as RR straight up to that. Now this backstep is going to be pretty deadly as Joker does manage to help out RRQ a little bit here with the elimination onto the EVOS player. RRQ makes it to the next circle.
Very, very lethal elimination there for EVOS because they've lost right. So the sniper is out of the picture and the team is going to have to try and pick up the pieces and survive moving forward. But RRQ showing signs of life in this lobby, looking to at least assert some level of dominance as they're trying to see where their next path going to be, because they secured themselves a compound. They're going to play for now, but where's that going to be? It's going to be moving much more on that next section. And I mean, EVOS pretty happy to where they are right now. Movistar 7 is going to approach that territory very soon as well, and looks like having caught their person.
Yeah, I mean, EVOS having a great game here. They keep getting aimed down early on. Movistar, RRQ, so everybody taking aim. The champions of the EWC Free Fire 25 about to get annihilated here as they stand right in the middle. Everyone surrounding them. It is just unfortunate in terms of position for EVOS. How do they make their way out of this? They have a vending machine that they abuse, attack their buddies, but in a settle zone, spraying them down from the skies isn't going to be too tough at all. Heavy, on the other hand, losing player after player on the high ground, which used to be advantages for them, turns out to be an absolute curse. Mufasa is still there.
Oh boy, I'm going to be out of the running. We still have teams in the running here. Now it looks like Fluxo has made the move to try to fight into E1, and so far the team is very strong. GU is right in their face, and right now E1, they're running out of distance. MT7 has been calling to hits. Beautiful snipes from the team. If they keep chopping them down like this E1 to get rid of our running champions, but Fluxo still trying to find that opening, and it's very dangerous. Now they're running low resources, but look, Midden's been caught lying.
Wow.
To RRQ actually helping out Fluxo.
Yeah, RRQ doesn't know that. They just want to sneak away these points, and of course, pumps grenade launcher one after the other, being tossed battle, hoping to get lucky. RRQ sneak away. It's gonna miss the signal here. The two E1 Sports players will get away with their lives, but RRQ will be in trouble because E1 could just stab them in the as they make this rotation in.
And while all that, Stars R7 has been eliminated, so clearly something has happened, meaning that EVOS all of them have a way into the game, and we're going to be starting to see some monster truck gaming here as we use as cover. This hill is back. There's barely anything to. You can see the rival in the two teams and looking to take out EVOS on that low ground, and RRQ wanting to keep Fluxo on that ground. EVOS still struggling to try to make their way up onto the high ground, so they have the wall. We see NPL rushing in. Going to be hitting the ground first. So fast. Still looking very healthy. EVOS not looking healthy. Both of their players very low. It's Aim God. He's going to finish off Lopez and do the best that he can. But EVOS down to the final player, and look at RRQ looking to take number one AJ NPL, and he's so he can do with one player. But RRQ have taken game number one.
Beautifully by RRQ. Very safe, and in fact was definitely on their side. Unlike what EVOS had to deal with so many squads, is constantly focusing their firepower up against EVOS, where they have to play defense, to lose a lot of resources, play those revivals in those final moments. RRQ, on the other hand, brilliantly created their own play from the edge of the circle, had all the M79 and had the grenade launcher, which tried its best to sneak a couple of extra eliminations off of third-party situations, but of course it was an opportunity well played for them. Star R7 did well as well, but unfortunately couldn't get deep enough into the final bout of the action.
So I think we're already starting to develop some storylines here for our first game, AJ. EVOS, they could be in trouble if Movistar's R7 continue to chase them moving into game number 2 onwards, because that was a trend that we saw for this particular game. Fluxo might have some beef to pick on with RRQ just because of that final circle. They were almost at risk of being eliminated. E1, that bout with E1, I think that is also going to give us a bit of a glimpse into RRQ's playstyle, because they could have fully committed into eliminating E1, but the fact that they double backed, that is giving me hope for this team, that they have maybe curbed that impulsiveness that sometimes sort of kicks this team in the shins. So I'm feeling good vibes. Okay, but it's only game number 1. I've got to see more from RRQ to feel really confident in them for the rest of the games today.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but I think RRQ is definitely geared up. They are well warmed up because of that home ground advantage, right? They know exactly what they're dealing with. They've got a little bit of fan power ahead of them as well. I didn't hear anyone scream out for RRQ earlier, but, you know, for EVOS, someone went crazy in the crowd earlier on, right? They're like, yeah, EVOS! That's the kind of extra buff that you need. You know, for all you know, you've got some of your friends out there who are right in front, maybe part of your crew as well, cheering you on. Things like this make the biggest of difference. And at the end of the day, RRQ has been waiting for a long time to prove themselves, and nothing went wrong for them in this matchup. Once again, some of the other teams faced a little bit of difficulty. Of course, that's exactly how each and every single lobby is going to be. But with all of that luck being on the side of RRQ, they made very good use of it. In fact, I would say in some of those circumstances, they manufactured the luck because of that brilliant rotation that they had, just sticking to the very edges of the circle all the time.
Yeah, I think... Have we seen RRQ sort of deploy this playstyle quite recently? Because I know in the past, RRQ would play the opposite, where they would basically try to find the center of the circle and they would camp out in whatever compound that they could find there. Is this, do you feel like something that might have been a new emerging playstyle for this team? Because I feel like we saw a lot of this at EWC for RRQ, like this team trying to figure out what their new identity and play style was moving forward. Because we know in the past, like their old strat just stopped working, and they really tried to make it work. But now that we're seeing this seems new. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this is just classic RRQ, right? Just play the late game. Don't go crazy just yet. Wait for that best opportunity before you strike. And of course, they've got the Skylar Nero Chrono Oscar on the combo, and it's anticipated and discussed earlier on as well. The team booster as well as the tactical market being the choice for a lot of these players. They don't want to go crazy with the hammer just yet because the health and the utilities kind of take the priority as of this point.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see at least one hammer on one of these team stats today, because I would be very disappointed if nobody attempts to make the hammer work. Personally, I do think the hammer has the potential to be a really incredible loadout. They just someone's got to prove that it's worth using. I'm waiting for that Guardian Angel of mine to suddenly appear, but Guardian Angel.
I mean, weak game overall in terms of eliminations, as opposed to what usually RRQ can pull off, because we do tend to see more eliminations out of Dutz. He's very proficient on the AC-80, especially with the passive skills that he brings in as well, right? He's got the Maro, he's got the Luna for the extra firing rate whenever the connections do hit, and he is quite the sharpshooter. Brings in a weird combo with the passives as well, with the pet to be the grenadier of the squad. If he had participated as much in those eliminations, I think we would have seen much more out of RRQ. But I think we'll take this. It's a good start overall. They do end up in that #1 spot. And of course, Ma'al walking away with the MVP. Total of 4 eliminations with the typical sniper build, right? Except he's dropped out the Raphael. He's replaced it with the Suzy just for those extra coins.
I think this early on, it's a really great, it's a great idea to kind of change things up a little bit for the team. Okay, good start for RRQ here, right? It's Bermuda, it's game #1. Game #2 is Kalahari. Does RRQ have the potential to be able to bring this momentum into game #2 and potentially be the first team to get 2 booyahs? Because we know right now no team has secured 2 booyahs in a day, let alone a back-to-back booyah. Just based off of what we have seen from RRQ today, do you think they're going to be able to pull it off for this next matchup?
High probability. I think RRQ is just one of those squads who's really proficient when it comes to those rotations. When it comes to moving from compound to compound, no team does it better than RRQ. At one point of time, it was definitely Buriram on the Southeast Asian platform, but RRQ was always supreme at getting those rotations done, right? Now when you throw in some of, LATAM in, you throw in some of these Western squads who are able to take the fight up to the east, then the story changes just a little bit. I have to highlight as well, the LATAM squads are doing exceptionally well in the competition.
Yeah, the LATAM teams, I have to say, I think they could be the X factor that kind of throws off some of our potential favorites in the competition, because we have to remember this is an inter-regional event. We have teams from regions that don't normally play together playing in the same tournament. In particular, LATAM, Brazil playing with our Asian teams. Like, yes, we do these in international events, but for most of the year, these teams don't really get to play with each other. And I kind of feel like LATAM and Brazil, Fluxo, they're last year's champions, but I really feel like they could be, like, the region in particular could basically steal another title away from Asia, as long as they can try to catch some of these Asian teams off guard, because there is still this level of respect by all teams from every region that they give to the Thai teams, even though these teams are not currently holding World Championship titles from last year. So I feel like this could be something that really just throws off all of our Asian teams.
Absolutely. And I think it's a brilliant debut for Nova Legion, walking into game #1. They take the second spot, almost struck the booyah. If they had the numbers on their side, it would have been phenomenal, right? And we have to acknowledge as well, Nova Legion almost got wiped out in the very first circle itself. Within the first 2 minutes, they were taking a heavy firepower, and thankfully that recovery was not just good, but absolutely sublime, and they went on to pick up massive numbers of eliminations. Remember Cluso, G Global, he got trapped, and I thought that was going to be for them, and we wouldn't get to see LATAM kind of show off much in this Bermuda map, but it was the exact opposite. They walk in and they get the most number of eliminations in the lobby, 13 in total, which was really impressive.
All right, so game 1 is done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with Bermuda, and we are getting ready to go into Kalahari for our next map matchup. And we already mentioned, AJ and I already talked about this earlier in the broadcast. The Indonesian teams, this is where they are going to thrive. But I think everyone knows this. Everyone knows that all of the Indonesian teams love to play Kalahari. So with this information in mind, how would you play around the Indonesian teams? Because I think they set the gold standard for Kalahari playstyle.
Yeah. So they definitely were very proficient on Kalahari until Thailand just said, you know what, sit down, boys, we're going to take over this map. And you see a lot of proficiency coming in from Thailand. But we also do have to respect Movistar R7 out of Mexico, right? They proved themselves yesterday. They have taken a lot of opportunities on this Kalahari. You got to respect the rotations out of Star R7. You know, great consistency in the squad overall, and one of the more impressive plays on Kalahari. So this is definitely something that we got to look out here for. As far as Indonesia and Kalahari is concerned, I just think EVOS need to use this to step it up, because this is where Rasya truly shines.
If I was Rasya, I think I'd we want to hide a little bit more, because you're going to have a target on your head. I think that goes without saying. This is probably the man to watch out for in Kalahari, as we are getting ready for Kalahari here, folks. We've just finished up Bermuda. If you missed out on match number 1, RRQ is setting the stage here for day number 2 after securing our first booyah of the day. So strong start for the team so far. They're looking good, but we still are waiting to see if RRQ is considered a top contender, because they labeled themselves as an underdog, which I personally don't agree. I do think this is still considered a top tier team. It's just they're probably not being looked at as much as Falcons, for example, and to a certain degree EVOS and Buriram. So I think RRQ, they still need to be very careful, because if they are going to think of themselves as an underdog in the tournament, I'm scared this mindset could get them killed unnecessarily on a map, because they think that they're harmless. They expect everyone to think they're harmless, but that's not quite the case.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that RRQ calls themselves the underdogs. Right? It's just,
right?
It does not fit. The description definitely doesn't fit what the team is capable of doing. We've got a video as well for your delight, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've got ABAX here with some spicy words. Let's see exactly what the good sir has to say.
So, coba kalian bisa adaptasi nggak di sini? Karena soalnya kemarin kita di Brazil susah banget buat adaptasi dengan makanan, cuaca di sana. Nah, sekarang kalian cobain di sini di tanah kita. Sangat berbeda jamnya, makanannya. Kemarin gue dengar makanan Indonesia dia nggak suka. Dia mesennya McD mulu. Dia nggak suka makanan Indonesia karena pedes. Ya buat haters ya tetap ngehujat kita. Semoga hujatan kalian nggak bakal capek ngasih ke kita, karena itu kata-kata salah satu motivasi buat kita. Thank you bro, semangat terus. Semoga dosa kalian makin banyak.
Shots have been fired. EVOS taking a dig at Fluxo of all teams.
That wasn't even a dig. That I think the Indonesians are just showing off that they are as spicy as their food. So I think I'd be a little bit careful there, right? Because if you stoke the flames to some of these teams, you could be inviting an unwanted guest in your house. But, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are ready to jump into Kalahari. The teams are ready to go. The Indonesians are ready to go. All participating teams are ready to go. Folks, who do you think is going to grab our second booyah of the day? We'll find out right now, but let's fly into Kalahari.
That's exactly who gets to dominate the desert sands out here at Kalahari as we kick off game number 2 on day number 2 of our knockout stage. A total of 6 days here at the knockouts, and each team gets to play 4 out of those 6 days. You technically don't have a lot of opportunities at all. Yes, 24 sounds like a lot when you start, but as you start going through those matches, they dwindle down really, really quick. You can ask WAG about that. You can even ask EVOS about that. They really, are quite experienced in the group stage of the Southeast Asian leg. They didn't really fare all that too well.
Speaking of not faring too well, we might be seeing a little bit of action on confinement over there, AJ. We've got NVL and Heavy actually fighting over that singular compound. So we could be seeing some names hit the dust, some players being sent back to the aircraft. But we are seeing here RRQ camped out at their favorite spot. They're back in Refinery. This is the place that this team knows and loves. And we'll have to see if anyone decides to compete for that spot later on, as Kabi, the first one down there.
Yeah, and Hope versus the whole squad of Movistar until Liku shows up. Games King, sliver of health left on him. P90, because the advantage here, goes in for the spray, gets fantastic knock. I have to say, Redcliffe has been very impressive, albeit they did not manage to get very far in that first game, but their engagements look a little sharper than Redhawks, which is quite a surprise to me.
I mean, if they keep fighting like this, I think it will absolutely pay off for the team. Yeah, so Redcliffe, they pick up 2 eliminations. We've just started the round. Could be a good sign for the team if they can also just stabilize. And I think something that could maybe hold Redcliffe back is you kind of fight into everybody, but if you're too reckless, then you might just be throwing your entire team away and ending your run for the round. So at least they've got their elims, and we'll see what Cliffs decide to do here. They maybe want to try and compete for Refinery, or if they want to play along the outer edge. Now, speaking of other teams, we do have EVOS here looking to shoot out hot shots. Almost went for action, but no, a little bit too late on the trigger there. So we do have another shot there. Oh, Rastia doing Rastia things.
Well, Coach Hill is right in front of Dowley. Taking a couple of pops shouldn't be too difficult here. And this is Clear Vision Esports about to get annihilated. 2 games back-to-back super early. Not a good sign at all. And it looks like they can't get away. Rastia has got a pretty deadlock on them with the VSK. They do manage to hop on away. Probane does get tagged from afar. Younes is holding back just to see if or not he can buy a little bit of time for the rest of his team members. He sacrifices himself for the greater good. Question is, what can the rest of the Clear Vision Esports players do with the extra time their buddy has given them? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, Fluxos decided to end their run, so Clear Vision, they thought they were free, but sometimes you just launch yourself in the wrong direction and you basically feed yourselves into the mouths of another potential predator in that lobby. So first team gone, 11 teams remaining, but already a great start here for EVOS. And actually, there are still some other teams that are doing rather well in the lobby, but I think EVOS, I think a lot of teams are expecting EVOS to do well, and the numbers, they're kind of proving them all right. EVOS are currently the kings of Kalahari for this round.
And Clear Vision again with the early exit. Unfortunate for them. They only picked up 1 point on Bermuda. And barely anything in this matchup, so we'll have to wait and see what they can do with the rest of those 4 opportunities. Hacks with the stop, but Niku with revive before he gets shut down. So quick fingers right there for the Redcliffe players. And this just happened to be the same issue that the Red Hawk squad was facing as well. Great start with the initial engagement, and then they fizzle out fairly quickly after that. I just think Bangladesh needs more time on the global stage just to get used to the very, very different pace we have from some of these other regions here.
Yeah, very, very fast paced, unfortunately. Teams just constantly moving. As we've got Kuslo on the screen, just gonna loot up a little bit and then regroup with the team. Oh, but Floki has been caught in the backside thanks to Games King, who's able to get a very sneaky elimination. A bit of a very sneaky elim. Oh, Sebas has been caught as well, down to 30 health, is able to try and recover, but you can see Movie Stars in the background looking to finish him off if they can catch his head. Just the top of his head is all that they need, but he's able to juke them out so far. So Sebas, but it gets caught anyway, thanks to Della.
Well, let's see if or not Nova Legion can find the recovery, because once again, they've had a very hot start, but heavy up against EVOS. A great one, as they don't manage to bump into a little Oscar. Valid dash for nothing. Don't cry. timing is bad here. Ray spots him, charge buster takes him down, and that leads them straight into E1 spots. I don't know if it was intentional, but he's been baked in. EVOS needs to get the heck out of here.
Either get the heck out or just go the heck in, because you can see Ray jumping into the fray as well, and they managed to get it down there onto Vittini. So EVOS, I think they're comfortable trying to fight into this, but they have to find a clear point of entry into the team, because E1 are going to keep themselves within that compound for now, and so far it is keeping them rather well protected. And you can see right now Rasia trying to see, can I get into position to maybe punch someone instead, catching vision of another player on his side. So I think Rasia just wanted to make sure he's covered on all angles to make sure that he's not picked off while he's trying to go for these snipes.
He was 10 eliminations on the Bermuda map, and they are already at 6 on the 6th minute here. And Redcliffe, just like Red Hawks, hot start and a quick fizzle out. I think they need to replace some of their vendors for their little flame here. Because, you know, sometimes when you buy the wick and the wick is bad, your oil lamp doesn't burn as bright and as long. I don't know if anyone gets the analogy. I don't know how many of you guys light lamps at home, but their wick is definitely bad.
Yeah, just not,
You don't
not the
get
best game. No, what do you mean? Yes, I do.
You don't light lamps at home.
I don't.
You're old.
What do you mean?
You're old.
I know what a fuel lamp is. Thanks,
You know
AJ.
what it is, but you don't light it.
I need to light it. I press the button and then there's my...
Amen. Amen. Alan, a little bit of a risk here. Riptide Rhythm sent out from the side of Heavy up against Fluxo. He's got them flanked out already, which is in trying to fish one out. And Alan cannot move anywhere at all. But the setup from Heavy is such where if they do try to take Alan out, the rest of them can't back him up. Alan, one more tag, and Bobs gets it done with the Winchester.
Bops them out of the air. So Heavy not feeling too happy themselves either, because now they know they're at risk of potentially being rushed upon by another team. And, you know, Bobs, he's going to be the one to set the tone for the rest of the team. But actually, Woodson is there as well. So Fluxo wanting to leave a mark on the map, grab some eliminations, and they get rid of Heavy as well. This ball secure position at command post, and look how quickly they are trying to get on top of this. Heavy is now panicking. They're hiding in that building. Woodson's playing on the rooftop. The rest of the team has it through. All it takes is for one head to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Some trick shots here from the jump out of the window, but on the other end, Movistar R7 moving down the players on the EVOS 6 eliminations already as they break down these blue walls, ripping away lives. He was trying to find some way to survive this and countered Heavy on the other hand. I thought they were successful running away from the place of Fluxo, but all three fall. One final survivor. Can they find some sort of a miracle here? We missed that whole bout, and Kabi got away with a sliver of his health still left on himself.
Yeah, this is such a big task on one player alone. So it would be a miracle for Heavy to be able to mount a reasonable comeback in this matchup. I mean, he's got a vehicle for now. So he'll try to hunt around and see if he can bring his teammates back. Rasia, though, about to be dumped by the entire roster of Movistar's R7, and they've caught him. And that is it. EVOS is out of the lobby.
It's unfortunate this time they just got hunted down. Did manage to play that Bermuda map fairly well, and luck just wasn't on their side this time as they got hunted down by one of the best, Movistar R7. They were upset with their placement points early on after having such a heated battle. 12th elimination on Bermuda, and Barros China both down. And Cypher looking for some way out of this. There's a vending machine in the compound. Getting to it is going to be the problem, and Tikui gets there first just to make sure he brings PS1 back, and at the very same time, make sure Cypher does not get the revival. Cypher reaches M590. DLS1 taken down. One shot needed, and Tikui with a sliver of health does manage to sneak on away. No vending machine placed just yet from Cypher. Both players on the med kit. Grenade's not going to meet him just yet. Got that Tikui down.
Beautiful play for Cypher. I love how aggressive aggressive Cypher is. Like, he knows what strings to pull. He knows his absolute limit. Oh, absolutely crazy. We've got Do here with Cyrus, where he does manage to finish him off there. So that's going to be another point going into the pocket of AG Global. And actually, glad that we've got AG Global on the screen here, because this team, unfortunately, for round number 1, completely bombed out. So if they want to keep their mark on that leaderboard, they're going to have to try and have a reasonably good round number 2. Yeah. Because if they bomb out here, this is going to do some pretty serious damage to their overall ranking points.
And WAG, even today, they don't seem to be finding a lot of luck out there on the battlefield. They were one of the teams that was struggling yesterday, and the story seems to continue in here, unless, of course, Xborg can pull off some sort of a miracle. Vending Machine's just ahead of him with the whole squad of AG Global circling around. Somebody needs to use the binoculars or spot on Xborg, because just 3 point just sitting there. Looks like AG Global will say bye-bye to WAG, and the team will get to survive at least another couple of circles.
Yeah, Chino not being too thorough with his final scout. So we'll move on, as we are still in the running here for round number 2 here, ladies and gentlemen, on Kalahari. We still have 9 teams in the running, so we have already lost a few teams in the earlier stages of Kalahari. But at the moment, we have a established team currently leading the charge, especially with the number of eliminations that have been going on in this round. We've been seeing a lot of fighting happening, and we could potentially see another one here with 2 major teams. Fluxo about to encroach onto RRQ territory, and the thing is, RRQ, they are gatekeeping that circle. So Fluxo, they're going to have to take that compound by force, and if they do try to fight for that particular compound, it's going to get very bloody.
Hotshot needs to stay safe as long as possible. Heavy on the right, AG on the left. He wants spots in shooting distance as well. Glue UAV sent out just to barricade that doorway. Make sure it blocks out a couple of extra. Cypher cooking up the nade already. Just needs a perfect toss in, and Hotshot might just lose a couple of players and open them up for a quick run. AG Global looking for some massive elimination points early on.
Oh, it's a very scary moment. Hotshots, AG, even E1 shooting Hotshots as well. So poor Hotshots really just on the receiving end of all of the bullets and damage and grenades. They're actually abandoning their compound as well. I think after seeing Heavy just leave theirs, and actually they're going to try and go for a fight to fight into Heavy, but instead they lose their own players. Big mistake there for Hotshots. To be fair, I think they had to make that risky play happen, but on the other side, though, WAG have been eliminated in 9th place. Yeah, just a really rough game here for Hotshots. They're trying to find some kind of freedom, some kind of room to move with, but they're really stuck in between all of these major teams.
Della? Oh, Della actually survived that with a sliver of health left on him. Brilliant pickup from the side of Movistar R7. Games King saving Della. And now full squad again. This is going to gear up Movistar R7 for a potential booyah here. But 8 more squads left. Circle goes towards Movistar R7. This cannot get better.
No, it cannot. This game is basically telling Movistars this is going to be your game. But can Movistars R7 basically finish this match? Because they're still having to deal with 6 other teams in this lobby, and we've got Heavy moving on to the high ground here. Hotshots are out, so we're now down to our top 6 teams, and now it looks like Fluxo is finally going to try and take this compound away from RRQ, and you can see RRQ gripped up on that 2nd level. They're hoping Fluxo come in from that low ground. This could be Mr. All it takes is one great right shot, but they don't get it. They get jumped on, and the entire team hits the floor. Fluxo delete RRQ, and both of our Indonesian giants have been eliminated from the lobby.
Yeah, that was a smooth through from the players of Fluxo. I'm very sure a couple of grenades were tossed on in there as well. Area of damage, caught multiple players on the side of RRQ, and then the firing squad with those F590s just dropping by to say hello. The VSKs hitting in hard. Unfortunate for RRQ. They just don't get to contest for the booyah this time round. E1 Sports though, on the opposite end, looking straight at Fluxo, finding Giu. Joker looking for that finisher, but the rest of them barricading behind the glue wall. And the attack from E1 Sports and Movistar R7 puts Fluxo in a terrible spot.
Yeah, Movistar, they are in the perfect position with E1 flying to fight over the compound, even Heavy hiding in the corner as well. And Movistars, they're not going to be patient. They're saying, okay, we're going to fight into this because we are in an advantageous position and we'd like to take your compound. They're going to be using that vehicle to drive a second source of cover. The Movistars, they really thinking of fighting into because the next circle has been decided. It's going to be that bottom left section of the map. So they will have to decide if they want to circle or maybe get ahead of the curve and get around Fluxo first. It's kind of an awkward position now. This is no longer an instant win for Movistars. Their next move here could be where their lives end if they make that wrong decision.
Let's see what the movement is going to be like. And stars taking over as the leaders. They definitely want the booyah here for themselves. They got the previous circle advantage, and now it still fairly is on the other side because the concentration of squad is on the opposite side of Heavy. Move fast down, and it's going to look so again. Out as scary.
It is E1 play on the actually going to abandon ship, and instead they're going to play with this small fence line here for E1, so trying to keep themselves away from the competition. So we now have some distance between all three of our top three teams, AJ. Now the question is who gets that first big shot. It can come down to a grenade to maybe flush a team out, or it's going to have to come down to that final circle as we start running out of space. Teams having to run on in be an eco game. Who has glue walls?
And who's got the smarts to get this victory? Deep freeze tossed on out here, and it's going to barely tickle the players inside the E1 Sports. So on the other hand, just buying their time. They've got a perfect defense spot here that does not require them to use up their glue walls. Movistar R7 is splitting off into a 2-2 buddy system, and they might just be the ones with the lucky and Fluxo fly straight into E1 Spot, but on the top with Winchester and the M79. Now it's E1 Spot, and Movistar R7 is on in as well, taking advantage. The third party will be one more to shut down, but they turn on them. E1 Spot holding their ground, but Joker and Della finishes it, and Movistar R7 secures their booyah.
Their patience paid off. They let Fluxo decide the course of the match. Whoever they went into, that was going to set the tone. And luckily for Movistars, Fluxo, they went to E1. That was all that it took. And if I'm not mistaken, when Fluxo jumped into E1, I think that was almost one or two players instantly downed. Huge crippling move onto E1, and that just opened the floodgates for Movistars to come in and clean things up. So patience is really the play here for Movistar R7.
Yeah, totally nervous when you saw two players on the side of Movistar R7 go down, and it was E1 taking the shots up against them. I was thinking, what in the world is happening? Because Fluxo just hopped on into you, blew your squad up with all of those grenades out of the grenade launcher. You should have been annihilated by now. But that is the strength of E1 Sports, holding their ground, out-surviving Fluxo, and the timing of the backstab from Movistar R7, initially splitting off into two sides and then moving in at the very same time after Fluxo had started off that engagement, was just chef's kiss, guaranteeing them that booyah, but obviously they needed to win out those gunfights as well. Let's take a look at the final engagement, the final shot that granted Movistar R7. See Leon with the double, taking down Hex as well as Games King. But thankfully, Della was there to sort him out. And E1 out, Movistar R7 up. And this, by the way, is their very first booyah.
The very first booyah, and it could be the gateway to more booyahs for this team. Because Movistar, I have to say, we've just seen 2 games today from this team, and they look brilliant. They really look on point today. They have been hunting down EVOS, and I have to say, I kind of wonder, when EVOS has a moment to sit down and potentially with the coach as well, if they do have a chance to look at VODs, I think they now have to consider Movie Stars as a huge team to deal with, because they hunted them down in game number 1 and they hunted them down in game number 2. So EVOS starting to realize this is a dangerous team, but also Movie Stars are making a name for themselves with the other teams in the lobby as well. So are they an underdog? I don't think so. They definitely play like a top dog at the moment. And if things just keep going the way that they are, if they're not given the respect that they deserve, I feel like they're just going to steamroll the rest of the matches today.
Yeah, I mean, I do expect them to attempt that for sure. I have to say, though, a little upset that Nova Legion did not get to continue the phenomenal streak, because Bermuda was a great play where we saw them kind of come out of the gates bursting, showing what they're capable of picking up here on the battlefield. Unfortunately, in Kalahari, that didn't really last all that too long. A little bit too much of aggression taken out of the equation. Let's take a look at the game standings and see how they fared, because Nova Legion, although they did get taken out so early on, that aggression of 9 eliminations that they picked up still does put them in a decent spot with a total of 12 points. But focusing on the Booyah squad, Movistar R7, 26 points in total. E1 Sports with 19 out of 10 eliminations and 9 placement points. Fluxo kind of gave their spot away to All Gamers Global here because of those eliminations that was kind of on the low. Although AG got taken out first, they still overtake them on the leaderboard.
Yeah, I have to say though, AJ, really glad that this is not such a top-heavy leaderboard today. I think it just goes to show how competitive this lobby is. That everyone competing today is very capable of grabbing a booyah, of being able to take down each and every team competing. But our overall standings is going to tell a better story of what is currently happening for today. And Movie Stars are currently leading with 43 points. And it's a significant lead too, because E1, next team down, 36 points. And Nova Legion, hello, 34 points, 3rd place.
Yeah. This is fantastic. This is phenomenal. This is what we need to see. And at this point, I am just going to bring the conversation back. It is once again the East versus the West. And this time, as far as the leaderboard is concerned for the day, it looks like the West is absolutely whooping. But we need to see the East wake up a little bit. Yes, RRQ got that booyah in that first game, but we just didn't see that string up a lot. The curse of the booyah has come out once again. And of course, speaking of once again, we see the combo here, the team booster and tactical market still the popular ones as far as the active skill combination here for Movistar R7. They've got the Tatsuya Skylar Chrono Coda going their way. Lots of information. You get to protect yourself on those landing as well with the time turners. And in a sticky situation, obviously Della with Ativa gets to pick up the rest of his team members once they get dropped down. And it was the perfect fit for them, because I think this is a very balanced loadout of active passive skills here for the squad.
Yeah, I think we also need to point out 2 team boosters, 2 tactical markets. This seems, just based off of these 2 games, this seems to be the loadout that everybody is currently comfortable with, by just having a good mix of utility as well as being able to support your team. So again, I would love to see a hammer. I really, really want to see one, but someone's going to have the confidence to be able to bring it out. And also knowing that, can you grab that booyah as well so we can see the stats. But moving on though, speaking of stats, Movie Stars R7, very, very aggressive team. And across the board, you can see very, very even in terms of eliminations. We have 4-5-4-5. This whole team is bloodthirsty. And I love seeing stats like this, because it shows that if anything happens to players on Movie Stars, they're not relying on a single sniper to pick up all of their eliminations. It means across the board, the team is able to equally contribute to all of their eliminations.
Yeah. And this is what you need out of a squad. Everybody is chipping in to the performance of the squad. Nobody's getting ultra carried on the global stage, and that means you just have a good run for your squad. And I think consistency from yesterday into today is really solid, especially for Games King, the star player of Movistar R7. 4 eliminations, 2,514 on the damage. Walking in here with the Tatsuya, the Rebel Rush, has got the combination of the Shani, Joseph, Ford for his passive skills as well. Now we know, although Ford just got that little bit of a nerf recently, that still has not deterred these players from picking him. And having Shani just give him that gear recycle, having that extra layer of defense helps him out on the front line, that M590. And to top it up, you've got the team booster as well. I think he's got that perfect gear. No wonder a lot of these players want to bring in the team booster. I don't think you're going to see that hammer, Danny.
No. I mean, just based off of the games that we've seen, yeah, I think it's very, very unlikely that we see the hammer. But I will be very positive. I do want to see at least one. So if we see one throughout the entirety of the World Series, I think I'm going to be
You're
glad.
satisfied. Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. So walk us through the weapon progression here, AJ, on for
Yeah.
Kalahari, at least for Movistar's R7. So
Yeah.
thoughts so far?
They were very lucky at the very drop itself, because the very first compound, they pick up really good guns that they could carry all the way into that final circle. You're talking about the M590, the Winchester, that both of them are very much in the meta right now. The VSK94 as well in the meta for those long-range connections. And you see that they don't really change out of these guns until they pick up the AC80 a little bit later on. And Games King replaced that VSK94 with the SVD. This was a blessed game for Movistar R7. This kind of explains exactly why they were able to go all out aggressive from the very first circle down to the final one, because that's the god of RNG kind of playing its tricks on you. This time, Movistar R7 just got the better end of the stick.
Yeah, I mean, would you also consider the fact that this team they didn't need to revive anybody, that they also got lucky, you know, in terms of progression? Like, they didn't need to constantly switch guns compared to a team that, let's say, for example, EVOS, just getting picked off. You don't even get a chance to have a main gun, because I think Movistars, they were a full roster from start to finish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like they just had a really great run for this second game.
I'm not sure if I saw any revives on their side, but yeah, when you've got the right loadout at the very start in itself, you are obviously the better squad when it comes to those engagements. You've got those prime in-meta weapons. Obviously, Movistar's not really a chump squad, right? They are great at those aims and they annihilate teams. And even the strategy aspect of Movistar R7 is very tight. You saw there was a lot of patience before moving in the third party in that final bout of action. And that in itself proves why they don't drop so many players, why they're not constantly reviving out there. And I hope I'm not cursing them as I say this, but, you know, that was a really tight game overall from Movistar R7. And the performance from yesterday continues into today. And that is a fantastic sign for this squad. This is what we need to see out of them a little bit more. They're definitely making Mexico very, very proud.
So next, I think we have to start talking about the next map, AJ. Solara. So this is a map that a lot of teams have struggled with. Movistar's R7, do we have statistics on their Solara performance?
Yeah, I mean, Movistar R7, they didn't fare well at all yesterday. Just one placement point, but as usual, very aggressive eliminations. They got 8 eliminations before they got eliminated early. So this is the good and the bad about Movistar R7. They are very capable, but they don't think twice about going out there and finding those engagements, which I think is a very positive aspect of a squad on the global finals, because you can afford to make some mistakes as long as you're sharpening your skills of engagement up against the other regions. So, but as far as the stats game